Welcome back to the Flourish Podcast. I am your host, Brooke Carboni, and I am so excited for today's episode. This month, we've been talking about the prophetic. We've got the Worship and Prophetic Conference coming up at our church. We're so excited about. And honestly, we've just had some really great testimonies come across this podcast. That is the heart behind it. You know, originally, like I know that we have topics that we discuss. We do Bible study sometimes. But ultimately, like we want this to be a safe place for the women in our community to come and share their testimonies. And so I am so excited about the testimony that we have today. My guest is Miss Jamie Thompson. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Thanks for having me.
Jamie is a worship leader in our church, but she is also a dear friend of mine, one of my very best friends. And also we work together.
Yes.
Which is a super special gift to me. So before we get started, why don't you just tell me a little bit about yourself and your family and like how you came to Resurrection Life and all the things.
Okay. So yeah, I'm Jamie. I'm married to Justin Thompson, who is on staff at Resurrection Life. And we have a 13-year-old son named Carter. And we have a 3-month-old baby named Story. We came to Resurrection, I think, like in 2016-ish.
That's crazy.
Yeah. We were there for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Then we moved.
Yeah.
And we came back. And then we came back in like 2021, I believe it was.
Which is when we met, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So on and off for a good, 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. But we love it. It's definitely our church home. God's just been so good. He's done so many things through this.
And when did you start leading worship?
I think around the same time we came back, around 2021, 2022.
Yeah.
So about 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we met, I want to say, was it the Christmas production? How you and I met?
Like we knew of each other.
Yeah. I had definitely seen you on stage. Yeah. For sure.
But that's where we like clicked and we realized we're like, okay.
In the trenches together, being snowflakes in the Christmas production.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
and
good.
The rest is history since then. So
yes, it's been great. And that's a totally different testimony for another day, but like the Lord worked it out that I own a salon in town. We work together and it's honestly just like one of the greatest gifts to me. I'm so thankful for you. And I just like, it's just us. We're just rocking it, the two of us in the shop, and we love it that way. Yeah. So anyway, so we have, if you've never been to our church, or even if you've heard about it, we have an annual worship and prophetic conference every single year where our church invites some prophets to come in and just share words of encouragement with our congregation. It's really awesome. And so Jamie has an incredible testimony that has to do with the prophetic, but with other things as well.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of want to give you the floor to share in whatever direction you want to start, whatever direction it goes in. But yeah, the floor is yours. You can take it away, sis.
Awesome. So I guess I'll have to go back a little bit to where it all kind of starts for me.
Yeah.
Around like 2016, we had just moved here from Nashville. Our son was about 2.5, 3 years old. We decided we were going to try for a second child. Got pregnant pretty easily. Everything was great. We made the announcement to the family and then we miscarried.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of one of those things where the doctors are just like, it happens, and it does.
This was after Carter?
This was after Carter.
Yeah.
Yep. And, so after that, I was just kind of a little bit angry about it and scared. So we didn't try for a while. And then for years after that, we tried on and off. And it was just nothing. Yeah. Just no pregnancy, nothing.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of dove into my work at that point. So I was working for a big corporate beauty brand and I was climbing the corporate ladder pretty quickly. And it was just something that I always wanted for not only us, but for Carter. I wanted him to have a sibling. And I just always felt like that was what was supposed to be for us as a family. But it just felt like as the years went on and as there was silence and so much waiting, it just, we were getting older, just kind of felt like it was just never going to happen.
And were y'all were in church at this time?
We were in church at the time. We weren't on worship team. Justin was not working there. I think he was working, I don't know what he was doing. I think AT&T at the time. He was a store manager. But then in 2018, I got a promotion with my company I was working for. So we left Picayune and went to Houston. Again, everything was about work for me.
Yeah.
And I really believe that I kind of lost sight of what God really called me to and just made work an idol, truly.
Yeah.
And
like you think to like keep your mind off of like the miscarriages and like the
and I think that I just convinced myself that it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I just allowed my identity to get wrapped up in what I did. And so then 2020 came, the pandemic, and my position was eliminated with the company that I was with. And so we came back here, and I just felt like, my tail was tucked between my legs.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it till then how much I had let my identity get wrapped up.
Yeah. So you just like lost your job suddenly.
Lost my job suddenly. Like literally they pulled the rug out from under me when I thought I was, still on this like path to continue to grow. And it was really hard because I think Justin and I both bottled a lot of things up and didn't communicate very well during those years as well. So we came back and it was just a really, really tough season.
Yeah.
I just felt like everything that I thought I knew just fell apart, including my marriage. You know, like we just weren't in a good place. And
navigating grief.
Yeah.
And then because if I remember correctly, there was a lot of hurt in the midst of losing your job.
Yes.
And we don't have to go into all those details, but like for context that you're navigating grief and also just like intense pain from, some hurt and stuff in the midst of losing your job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I had all these plans. And so when the plans fell apart, it was just like, well, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And it truly, like, I felt like I got to the place where I had nowhere else to turn but to the Lord.
Yeah.
And so I did. And we did as a couple. And we did a little bit of couples therapy. And we just really just gave everything to him because there was nowhere else to go. And it really was just, I had to surrender, like completely surrender. And I remember like being at my house by myself and just giving it to him. And I was like, Lord, it's yours.
Yeah.
Because I can't do this anymore. Clearly, I've been trying to do this myself this whole time and look where I'm at,
Let me get out the way.
Yeah. And so we had a lot of work to do and we did it, just spiritually, emotionally.
Yeah.
And I really feel like the Lord had to break us into a bunch of pieces so that we could pick it back up.
Yeah.
And the pieces looked completely different this time.
Yeah.
Just the way we parented, the way we were as a couple, the way we looked at our jobs, everything was truly for the first time, I think, Christ-centered.
Yeah.
And we had always believed and we had always, had a relationship with the Lord, but it was just different this time.
So backing up just a little bit, like in that season, getting emotional.
It's okay.
Also, just like she's here and her husband's here and her mom is here holding her baby, and it's just like, here we are. This is a lot, but I feel so grateful. God, I feel so grateful for like the opportunity to have witnessed this with you, like just from the beginning of our friendship to sitting on this couch. Like it just really feels like a gift to be able to have witnessed like what the Lord's done in your life and to see you have walked through miscarriages and hold on to your faith.
Yeah.
And to see Justin have done the same thing, and like how y'all came together and it was so hard. I'm getting ahead, but like, sorry, here we are.
You're good.
I feel grateful to have witnessed that.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry. There was that.
You're good.
Back to my question.
You're good.
In the midst of you having that miscarriage, when y'all started trying again and then losing your job, how did that specifically affect your faith in the Lord? Like, what was that like in your walk with the Lord? How did you navigate that? And like, what was the time frame that you sat in that before you realized like, okay, obviously like I've got nothing left. I've got to like, Lord, you've got to do something. Like, okay, I'm woke. Like what was that like for you? And what was that like time frame?
So I would say when I lost my job and I quit, they did give me another job here in New Orleans when we came back with the same company, but it wasn't of the same caliber, and it just wasn't for me. So I quit that one.
Yeah.
And went to hair school at 37 years old.
Yeah.
So I was the old lady in hair school.
Which is a flex.
Yeah,
No one knows
but,
that is a flex.
But it just was like continuously just having to trust the Lord. Like I had to give it to him, like every single thing, like going down from two incomes to one,
right?
Going to hair school for a year.
Yeah. And
just like, it was so cool because I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like there was some bitterness in me, a lot of bitterness.
Yeah.
Because, I felt like I watched a lot of friends have babies.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have things that I just said, well, why don't I get that?
Yeah.
And then, the devil kind of spins it on you and he goes, well, why aren't you grateful for what you already have?
Yeah.
So it was a tough season, but I just feel like over those years, like when the bitterness would like swell up, like I would just have to like remind myself who the Lord is and who he says I am.
Yeah.
And that he is going to provide.
That was my next question. Were there any like specific scriptures that you stood on in that season? Were there any like phrases that you repeated over and over? Like what was I
kept going back to Philippians 4:6, be anxious for nothing, come to the Lord with a grateful heart and prayer. And so I just kept feeling like I just like had to die to myself and just pray and ask the Lord to like forgive me for feeling the way that I felt.
Yeah.
And honestly, the Lord's Prayer, like I would stand on, give us this day our daily bread. Like I can't sit here and worry about the future.
Yeah.
It's got to be today, just today. So just those two things really. I mean, there was a lot. There was so much. I'm trying not to get too
no, you're good. You're good. We've got time.
But it was just awesome. Like it was tough, but like I look back and I go, I quit my job, but the Lord had Justin in a job that it was the most money he's ever made, but it was enough to carry us through that point of me being in school. So like I was able to trust him in that. And then our marriage it flourished. We learned how to communicate with each other. We learned, what each other's love languages were and just to be softer with each other.
Yeah.
And that was the Lord because neither one of us were capable of doing that.
Well, and something like this can tear you apart.
Yeah.
And so it like that scripture, what the enemy meant for evil.
And I look at that and I feel like that's the biggest part of like having a second child. Like I believe the Lord gave us Carter in that season for a reason. And we didn't get another child until a certain time because there was much more work to be done.
Yeah. He was refining you.
And so then got through hair school, we came back to Picayune and I just remember just like.
So you went to hair school. I'm sorry. You went to hair school like in Nashville?
No, here.
You were already back here.
Yeah, we were back here.
Yeah.
And Justin was working at Dad's Campers. And I just remember like, I was just like praying for godly friends. I didn't have that. And so another thing too, like we were doing a counseling session and I can't remember how we got to the point of the counseling session, but like the lady that was speaking, she's like, is there anything specific that like you want for yourselves?
Yeah.
That you want us to pray for? And we were both like, well, we're both musicians. We'd love to do music. She's like, well, can you get on the worship team at your church? And I'm like, well, they've had the same people on the worship team forever and ever, I don't know how that would work, but maybe. So she prayed for that. And I say all that just to say like, there was so many little pieces and little things of things that have been broken. And it was like, the Lord put it back together. After that counseling session, we went to church the following Sunday and Elisha and Kat come across the screen and they're like, we're having worship team auditions. And I just grabbed Justin's leg and I was like, holy moly,
Yeah.
And I remember when I auditioned for the worship team too, he had given a certain song to sing and I was working a lot at the time and like I didn't have time to learn the song. And so I sang Thy Will Be Done. And like I just remember singing that song like with every fiber of my being. When I auditioned because that was true. I was like, God, I don't know where any of this is going, but thy will be done no matter what it is. And it just was such a season over those years of just trusting him and giving it to him and just letting him do what he's going to do and stop trying to control things and make plans of my own because his plans are better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, then we continue to go on. We get into our 40s.
Yeah. So there were, how many years was it that you made the decision, like, we're just not going to try anymore?
It never was a, like, we're not going to try.
But
it
just
was,
like, we're going to lay it down.
It was more of a, like, we try, we'd stop. We try, we stop. And then I think as we got older, I think we both kind of were like, it just kind of turned more to like a hope.
Yeah.
Maybe one day. But you just, you get older, especially going into your 40s, and you're like, well,
yeah,
maybe not. Mm-hmm. And that's okay, because we were happy. We had Carter. It was good. But there's just that thing inside me. And I felt like the Holy Spirit had told me, like, you're not done. There's a piece of this puzzle that still has to be put in. And so then Justin starts working for the church. And so prophetic conference came around 2 years ago. And we had never gone till the morning when they do with just the staff. Yeah. And that's when Landon came to me and he gave me that word. And at the very end of the word, he said, there's a burden on you for children.
Yeah.
And like I said, like, we had kind of just, we tried, stop trying. And it was almost like it kind of woke that up in me again.
Yeah.
And I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
So there is.
To pause here.
Yeah.
She and I didn't know each other super well at that time. Mm-hmm. And I was in the staff meeting where they were sharing, and I didn't know any of this yet. I didn't know y'all were struggling with infertility. I didn't know that you had a desire for more children. And so I'm sitting across the room hearing him say something about a desire for children. And I was like, had secondhand embarrassment for him. I was like, whoa, he missed it. You know what I mean?
He didn't miss it.
So then when we did become friends and you did share this with me, I was so convicted, but then also was like so hopeful.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, one, I suck for judging that. You know what I mean? But then also, like, we're standing on this.
Yeah.
I'd even said that multiple times, through the last couple of miscarriages. Like, no, I'm going to stand on, like, we're going to stand on that together. Yeah. Not that that's like gospel, but like the Lord spoke it, mm-hmm. and like we're going to hold on to hope that like it's going to come to fruition. Yeah. And so I think that's just like, I don't know. I'm emotional because I'm just like, man, it happened,
It did.
And here we are, and it's just like such a testament to like the Lord's faithfulness, but also like yours and Justin's.
Yeah.
Like I watched you trudge through that. Mm-hmm. And
so then in 2024, last Christmas was 2025. Yes. Mm-hmm. 2024, the Christmas before last, we weren't trying, mm-hmm. and surprise, mm-hmm. got pregnant. And I just remember being so elated and like so shocked because mm-hmm. I was 40 at that time. Yep. And I was just like, naturally, like, here we are, like this. And like, I just knew with every fiber of my being, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. This is what mm-hmm. the Lord has promised me. And, we miscarried at mm-hmm. 6 weeks, and you walked with me through that. And I was so angry. I was so angry. And I remember just being like, why did you reopen that wound? I was almost like over it, why is this happening again? Mm-hmm. But when that happened, we worked with a doctor who, unfortunately, in the past, they are all just kind of like, it happens. Sorry. There's nothing wrong with you. Mm-hmm. But this doctor was like, she took Justin and I in her office. She said, are you going to try again? And I just remember like it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I want to, but I'm scared. Mm-hmm. I'm scared.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I'm going to run your hormones. I'm going to run your blood panels. She was like, you're on the wrong kind of blood pressure medicine. Like, she actually worked with me, and come to find out I had a really low progesterone count.
Yeah. So
she put me on that. And so Justin and I just kind of decided, again, just leave it in the Lord's hands.
Yeah.
And so we went to Gatlinburg, went on a little family trip after that, and everything was good. And we came back, and I was pregnant. Mm-hmm. And I was so scared. Mm-hmm. Like, it was just hard for me to be super excited about it, because I was just like, oh God, please, Lord, not again.
Yeah.
Not again. And we weren't going to tell our son. Mm-hmm. This part's kind of funny. We weren't going to tell him just in case something happened. Mm-hmm. Well, he saw a picture of the pregnancy test on my husband's phone. and he was all upset that we didn't tell him. And so we explained to him why, because he was 12 at this time. So we explained to him why we didn't want to tell him in case something happened. We didn't want him to be upset. And he prayed over the pregnancy in his room with the two of us. And he said, please, Lord, please let this baby be okay.
Ugh.
And I just was like, oh my God, like this has to work this time. It just has to.
Yeah.
And every day up until like that middle of the whole pregnancy, like I just was so anxious and so scared. And it was just, I had to allow the Lord to just be in control.
Yeah.
And I remember we went for one of the ultrasounds, so somewhere around the 15, 16 week mark. And I was in the bathroom about to go in for the ultrasound. And I started having an anxiety attack. I was so scared something was going to be wrong when I walked in there. And it was almost, I don't want to say it was audible, but I knew it was the Lord or the Holy Spirit. Like he just said, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
And I knew he was. Like I just knew it. And long story short, everything went great. We have a beautiful baby girl.
Yeah. What's her name? Talk about her name.
Okay, that's the best part of it, I think, because we were going to name her Corinne, which is my middle name. So we're going to do Carter and Corinne. And my husband's a very traditional name person. I'm kind of the like out of the box name kind of person. And so I thought Corinne was kind of like a good middle ground. And one morning we were having coffee and he's like, how are you feeling about Corinne? And I was like, I like it. I was like, but it just doesn't feel like the name, you know? And he's like, well, what other names are you thinking of? And I started naming some off, and I really liked the name Story. And I was like, he's not going to go for that. But I said it. I was like, Story. And he sat there for a second, and he was like, that's it.
Yeah.
He's like, that's her name. He's like, think about it. He's like, God is the great author of our lives, and he rewrote our entire story. And I'm like, well, that's the Lord right there. The fact that you even like this name, because you don't like stuff like that. And so that's her name. So we named her Story Elizabeth Ann Thompson. So she's just the happy ending to all of it.
Yeah.
You know,
I think also what you said a few minutes ago is so valid, because miscarriage is so common.
it is.
It really, the statistics, I don't want to misquote, but I think it's 1 in 3. Like it's very common. And so what you said a few minutes ago about just like, is something wrong with me? I think that's so many people, you know, so many people go through it. And it, you know, some are early and you know, that it happens naturally, you know, at home. And then some people have to go and have the procedure and stuff. But either way, there's so much pain with it. And so, what, and I know I'm kind of hitting you with this, but what would you say to somebody who is going, how many miscarriages, if you don't mind me asking, how many miscarriages did you have?
3.
Yeah. What would you say to somebody that's in this season, whether they're in their 20s or whether they're in their 40s, like that's walking through infertility or walking through miscarriage? Like what wisdom do you have to offer to them?
I mean, I would just say it's okay to be upset. It's okay to even be angry. Just don't let it fester. Don't let it turn into bitterness.
Right.
Don't let it turn into sin or rebellion.
That's so good.
Sit with it, you know, scream, cry, whatever you got to do, but give it to the Lord.
Yeah.
Give it to the Lord, no matter what that looks like. You know, like I'll never know why we had to have that miscarriage before we had Story.
Yeah.
You know, yes, we learned a lot of things like physically, but like it still hurt.
Yeah.
But
and was it like beneficial? Do you feel like it was beneficial having community in that time?
oh, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. And like, what did that look like for you?
And I think like especially like you and just, there's a couple other women at our church that have babies right now too, that also had miscarriages around the same time, but just, it's awesome to have other women who have walked through that, and especially other believers, you know, because we can lift each other up. We can cry for each other. We can pray for each other. And I will say like, just having a fellow Christian woman pray over you just brings such a sense of peace that you just don't feel alone. It's so important. You don't want to be alone in that, because I mean, that's where the devil takes hold, you know, when you're alone with your thoughts. So I would definitely say, whether or not you have a church family or whatever it is, like don't be alone. Reach out, talk to somebody, because just talking it out is so important. Just getting it out. And talk to the Lord about it.
Yeah.
You know, pray about it, read your Bible. All those things.
So I also want to ask you about, like, you shared the prophetic word that Landed had given y'all. What, up until that point, what was your previous experience with prophetic? I know that you said y'all haven't always been in church. But like before being exposed to the prophetic, what was your experience with it? What were your thoughts on it?
Honestly, I hadn't had that much experience with it before coming to Resurrection Life. I don't know. I just really feel like as long as it aligns with the word and it aligns with what God says. You know, like sometimes they say like this word may be for somebody else, even though I'm giving it to you. So I just think it's really, I just think it really needs to line up with the Bible, with the word. And I just think that it's something that you have to pray over yourself. And like,
but like previously, before you were ever exposed to it at our church, like if somebody had said something about the prophetic, like what would your response have been? Like previously, before like coming to our church or anything like that?
I might have honestly been a little bit like, okay,
sure.
Sure. You know, like I'm not going to lie. Like I probably would have been a little skeptic of it, you know? But when he did say there's a burden on you for children, I was just like, oof, like you just know, you know? So
which was so cool though, like how it spoke to you compared to like what I was thinking in that moment, you know? And so, I'm just encouraged by all of it. So thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being vulnerable and crying with me. 'Cause here we are. we just let it all out. So, I love you so much. And I'm so grateful that you said yes. Also, like just you being here is a testimony. 'Cause I for sure was like, when we were talking about like who was going to come on and share their story, I was like 99% sure you're going to say no. And so the fact that like the Lord had already spoken to you, because I even told Kaylee and Miss Amy, I'm like, let's get a plan B, because I'm like 100% sure she's going to say no. And so me reaching out to you was literally just like an act of faith. Like, I feel like I'm being disobedient if I don't try. And then you said yes. And I was like, oh.
Well, I mean, that's all part of it too, is just being obedient to what the Lord has for you. You know, like I knew that this would be used for something one day. And I think this is a part of it in the beginning of it. So just being obedient to the Lord is so important.
That's amazing. Okay. Well, I love you.
I love you
Thank
too.
you so much. All right. That is it for this episode. We love you guys so much. And we want to invite you and all of your friends to the Worship and Prophetic Conference happening at our church. We hope to see you next time. Love you guys.